Hello and welcome to Impact Over Noise, our International Women's Day celebration. I am Jill Olish, your host today, and I am super excited to be here with some of my good friends and talking about women and what we can do since we're all women and we're excited about this topic. So I have to say first that I am super grateful for this platform today. We have been graciously given this space by the My Sexy Business community and team. So thank you so much, Kim White, for giving us the opportunity to speak here today. Again, I am Jill Olish, the host of this panel discussion, or just we're going to have a conversation, not really panel discussion. I am the founder of Mama Outspoken, as well as the executive team leader at My Sexy Business. So I'm very excited to do this today. And I also have with me Kat Corchado of Small Space Pilates. She is our health and wellness and movement specialist extraordinaire, the fabulous Kat Corchado, as well as Yvonne Marchese, who is from Late Bloomer Living, who brings us all of the things that we need to know about aging and women in that in their aging and what all the play we need to continue in our lives, because it doesn't stop when we start getting older. So I am very, very happy to have been able to do this event actually for their third year now. So Impact Over Noise, we started 3 years ago, third annual one. Very excited to be doing this. And it was all based around International Women's Day. So I don't know if everyone knows this, but Impact Over Noise, Kim and I were discussing and figured out that, we didn't want International Women's Day to be just a bunch of noise, because we can come into a space where we have the ability to talk out loud and represent women, and it can be just a bunch of noise. And we didn't want that to happen for something that we held. We wanted to make sure we were making an impact for women, about women, for entrepreneurs, for what it means to have impact behind us as women. So super exciting that we have created this space to do just that and to talk more about what it means to have a day where we get to celebrate women. So for me, that is what International Women's Day stands for, is making an impact and not just noise. So that way we can be leaders in the world around us, in community, in friends, in whatever we have going on in lives. So I wanted to ask first for you guys, what does International Women's Day mean to you?
First of all, I think that it needs to be more than a day. I'm just going to say that. Yeah. It needs its own separate month. It's also Women's History Month, so we need to have 2 months. But I think I know I'm greedy. I'm sorry. I think it's about celebrating women everywhere. We are so freaking fantastic as individuals, all the things that we do as women. And yet we never pat ourselves on the back. We always wait for someone to tell us how well we did or whatever. And we need to sit back and go, I was really good today. I did this really well today. And we don't do that. So I think this is the day and the time that I'm going to say I'm celebrating all women everywhere, because you are freaking fabulous.
I love that, Kat. I am learning how to do that. Lately, if I accomplish something, even if it's a little something in the middle of the day, sometimes I'll run around the house for a second doing the Rocky dance, da 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 da. And it's kind of fun to do that. But really the truth is that more often than not, at the end of days, I look at what was on my to-do list and I bemoan what didn't get done instead of celebrating what did get done. Mm-hmm. And the truth is a lot of stuff gets done just about every day. And it just doesn't always feel like it. And part of it is not celebrating, not taking the Rocky at the top of the steps moment to say, yeah, I did that. And I think that's what International Women's Day should be, you know, and it is it should be women celebrating women. First of all, let me say how important that is, that we support each other in our endeavors, that we are cheerleaders for each other,
Yeah.
and that men celebrate with us, you know, that and what I like to see is just a cohabitation between the sharing of power between men and women that is not exclusive to anybody, you know, that really takes, you know, half of the population and lets everybody have a seat at the table and representation and a voice. And that is my wish for the world.
Oh, girl, that's a big bucket.
Truth. Truth.
But it's so needed.
Just my small little wish for the world.
But it's very needed, because why are we so divided in that? You know, I like the idea of 2 months, Kat, of celebrating women, but really, Amon, you're right. Like, all the small moments that we have throughout our day, we're celebrating. And one thing I like about what I've been learning in my leadership journey is how to celebrate others more and to recognize them regardless of their gender. And, you know, if it's a woman or a male, it's just, let's just celebrate everybody. Like, why am I going to be so closed off and only want to celebrate me? Like, yeah, let's make it about everyone. So I think that makes a very strong leader. And I think as women, we need to step up in that way, show everyone that, you know, we do need to celebrate all the small things, the big things, and not just in 1 month, every day.
Every day. I'm saying 2 months isn't enough time.
Right?
Actually, I'm greedier than you are,
Yeah.
Kat. I'm saying year round, baby.
Well, I think every woman needs that Rocky dance. You know, we have applause, you know, on our phone, and then the Rocky, and we're just like, yes.
You have applause on your phone?
No, but I'm going to get some. Why not?
I think that's a genius idea. You know how they have the little buttons? I think I need an applause button, right?
We need an applause button. We do.
Hit that every time. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
But I think in some of the platforms that we use, there might be a button for that. We're going to have to remember that the next time we're playing around.
I love it. I love it.
So I want to talk a little bit about what each of you guys do and where you are finding the hard that women face and why you're doing what you're doing. So, not necessarily like what obstacles are we overcoming, but what is the hard that you have seen the women that you're trying to help that, you know, doesn't have to be that way? I can go
Kat,
first.
do you want to go first, Phil? You go first.
I feel like mine's almost kind of easy, but I think we all have easy answers for this one too, because we love what we do. But with me being mama outspoken, the hardest thing that I'm doing currently is being outspoken. But I need to be outspoken for other moms as well because of postpartum mood and anxiety disorders. It is so not talked about enough. And there's an increasing amount of businesses now coming up to help moms in need, I feel. And I love that. And I want to celebrate that as well. But that is where the heart is for me, is that nobody really wants to talk out loud about it. So coming onto a platform like this and being able to talk about women in general, not just about, you know, the mental health concerns that we face, especially after having children, but in general, and holding that space to have the ability to have safe conversations like that. And I look forward to the future of what that means for Mama Outspoken. It means for our communities, and it means for the world, and having these conversations on platforms that are safe to do that.
I love that you're bringing this conversation into the forefront. Jill, can you talk a little bit about what you do in Mama Outspoken for other women?
Yeah. So I, excuse me, have been sharing my story to help others understand their own stories or even understand their own mental health journeys in postpartum months after having a baby. And one of the things that I started was a community and a podcast, but having the conversation with my husband on my podcast has been the most enlightening, because I'm realizing that he didn't want to listen to my stories, but he did, but didn't get it until he heard other people's stories. And then he's like, "Oh, you felt like that?" I was like, "Yeah, I was trying to tell you this the whole time, dude." Like, so it's really
That's hilarious. Does it help you to hear his stories? Like,
yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So when I wrote my book, I included his story, his perspective, and I didn't know a lot of what he shared with our friend Linda Bonney, who interviewed him. Not a clue. And it's actually something we podcast about now. And I'm like, I didn't know you felt this way until you told someone else, because there's no way you would have told me, coming out of the hospital after having our son, that you thought, what am I going to do if you die on the table during your cesarean? So like, we had so much more open up between us. And I want that for the moms that come into the Mom Outspoken Village. I want that for their spouses and their families to be able to continue the conversation, so others understand that it's not just in our heads. Like, give us the help we're looking for. We're wanting that community. We're wanting other people to help lighten the load for what we do.
Jill, are you finding that women come into the community and realize that they have this safe space and they start to open up a little bit more each time you have the community?
Yeah, definitely. Because it's not like you have to come in and all of a sudden pour your heart out to us. I mean, there's got to be a little bit of a trust built before someone is comfortable doing that. But over time, it's even when I get to talk to somebody outside of the village, that if I share my story someplace, they're like, I felt like that too. And even that one-on-one conversation is more powerful than anything else, it feels like, in that moment.
Yeah. I'm quite a bit older than you, Jill, but I think back to my days with young kids, and I'm only now in hearing your story, realizing that I probably had a little bit of postpartum depression going on and didn't know it. Just felt like I just felt like I was struggling, and why was this so much harder than I ever expected it to be?
Yeah.
Because I always wanted kids. I had them late. I was 35 when I had my first, and always thought maybe, 2 kids, maybe 3, was what I always had in my brain. And I had my first child, and then and great kid, great baby, like easy, really, if you looked at it from the whole thing. But I was so overwhelmed that I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I can handle another baby. And that didn't clear up until 2 years. And that's when I had my second. And I think I went into, again, another dip, in my early 40s, that was probably also tied into perimenopause, which I also didn't know was starting to happen to me at that point, because I was a later in life mother. So I had all kinds of hormonal stuff going on that I didn't recognize. I didn't know was hormones happening to me, crazy.
Really
I wish I had known you then.
Right? Well, Jill, I have a question for you. I'm coming at it from being a single parent. Are single parents a part of your community, or can they become a part of your community? Because there's this isolation that is so prevalent for, single moms, and they feel like they can't complain, but they're overwhelmed, they're overloaded. They need something to hold on to, because I needed that. Being in the military, being a single parent, I couldn't go and start, this and that and this and that, because then I looked weak, according to the guys that I worked with. So I had to keep it all inside. And, good thing I had exercise, because I would have imploded from the inside.
I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it, because I'm speaking as somebody. I feel so grateful that my husband is the guy he is. Like he
Mhm.
has been in the trenches with me from the beginning, like in the mix, and to
Yes.
have done it without him, I don't know how you did. I don't know how you did.
I don't either. I mean,
I
when I look back on it, I'm like, wait, what? How did I do that? You just dig in and you take a day at a time. And I think that applies to a lot of mothers and even new moms is, you get to that point where you feel as though you're not going to make it. And that's when you have to take that breath and go, I'm going to be okay. The baby's okay. The baby's still alive. Because a lot of times we get newborns, we're like, I don't know what to do with this.
It was, it came down to, at the end of the day, did I keep us both alive? And that, it's very funny because our
It
friend
gets
Kim
to
White,
that point, doesn't it? You're
yeah,
just
our
like
friend Kim White, she says, I
da,
have
da,
100%.
da, 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 da.
Yep. So yes, but Kat, to answer you, single moms definitely are welcome, because I have to even say, my husband, he was very supportive, just not the way I wish he would have been. And even he says he wishes he would have been supportive in a different way.
Mhm.
And what am I going to say? Holy moly.
I'll jump in. Oh,
Go
go
for
ahead.
it.
I was just going to say, I think it's hard for men to know how to jump in. Because of the way that we're all raised. I'm just going to generalize that the men's roles, the women's roles, and whether or not you're a working woman or not, I think that a lot of working women still end up doing the women's part of things, the quote unquote women's part of things. And I think so often men just don't know any better than to do what they've been brought up to do.
To do. Yeah.
Even with the best of intentions, I think that there can be a miss in that.
Yeah, I just don't know how single mothers or parents in general, either gender, can do it. Like, I'm in such awe. Like, I had a partner who was supportive, but I still had such a struggle. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like, just doing it alone. So Kat, I don't know
Yeah.
how you did it.
No, today, actually,
Yeah.
when people ask me what's the hardest job I've ever had, and I said being a single parent to this day. So, and I don't think that'll ever change.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to hear more about that hard for each of you and what you're doing to alleviate and to I guess, what is it, break through the glass ceiling as a leader in what you guys are doing.
Do you want to go next, Kat?
Sure. Unlike you, Jill, I am outspoken. I'm like, wait a minute, we need to talk about this. I think the hard is getting women to understand that they are worth the time and the energy to feel better in their bodies. Because you can't give from you can't pour from an empty cup. Is that it?
Yeah. Yep.
That working out, that helping, keep your body to feel that you feel better. Yeah. That energy comes back to you. And we tend to think that we're not worth it, or I don't have the time. And even when you make things easier for people, they still like, oh, I don't know. And I'm willing to go the 50%, but it's getting them to come and meet me halfway. And that's all I'm asking. Just meet me halfway and let's try this out and see how it feels for you. So I think it's hard to get women to understand of taking this time for themselves, because they feel like it needs to be over here and over here and over here and over here. But yet it's like that lonely piece of bread in the bag. No one wants it. And it ends up getting stale with the what do you call the butt of the bread?
Yeah.
You throw it away. So that's my struggle.
So, and you're speaking about your experience of as a as a movement specialist and a
Yes.
trainer, a physical trainer, working with women.
Yes.
And you're like, meet me. I can bring the 50%, you bring the other, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
I got you. Yeah. Yeah. We just don't give ourselves, we don't give ourselves the commitment that we give to other people, that we give away.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a challenge. That is a challenge. And at the age of 56, I'm still working to try to figure out that harmony or balance,
I'm getting there. It was always, client was more important than me. And, now I'm getting to the point where if I need time, then I take time. If, I'm just doing things to fill my cup so that I can be a better trainer, wife, dog mom, all of that. But I have to take care of me. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. That's not really far off from the hard that I am working on. It's the encouraging people and women in particular of an age to take care of themselves and to take care of themselves with their mindset, with not trash talking themselves. Because that was me. That was my 40s were tough. They were tough because I was in a full trash talk in my head loop towards myself, looking back at my life and kind of feeling like a failure and feeling like it was too late and it was all over. I would look in the mirror and not recognize the person who was looking back at me. It was like, who is that old woman? And where did she come from? And what is with all that? That what? And it translated it wasn't just about the looks. It was about what was still possible for my life. It was saying things like, oh, I'm having a senior moment as a joke when I would misplace my keys or my phone or whatever. And it's not that I was having a senior moment. It's that I had a lot going on and but me telling myself it was a senior moment was another little chink in my own ideas of what was possible for me to do going forward in my life, So I think the hard that I'm trying to work through with people is that I don't even think most people know that they're being ageist against themselves because it is the water we swim in. And I think that I'm not alone in feeling like at a certain age that it's, it's that over the hill at 50, it's the whole thing. But we're living longer. I'll probably, statistically, I'm probably going to live into my 80s. Maybe I'll make it to 90. Who knows? That's a lot of time between now and then. What am I going to do?
80's the new 60, Yvonne, just saying.
Right? What am I going to do with that swath of time that is a lifetime for some people?
Yeah.
So good grief.
Well, I think we take ourselves too seriously. We're adults and we have to be, we have to act like adults and we have to, and yes, adulting sucks. I'm going to say. Thank you, Yvonne.
Yes.
But I think we have to find that child within us. You know what I mean? Oh, let's go on the swing. Oh, Mom, there's swings. Can we go swing? Oh, no, you go. No, go with your child. Right. Swing with your child.
Yes.
Get on the remember the merry-go-round? Do you remember that?
Are you talking about at the playground? The ones where you jump on and you just spin and spin and spin. And then eventually you feel like you're just going to fall right off.
We would hang on. We were on our back, head off the thing, hanging on for dear life and someone spinning. And we're like, that was the best thing ever.
Best ever. That's that's what I want getting old to feel like, you know. And actually, when I started the podcast, so I've been doing Late Bloomer Living podcast for close to 5 years now. And when I started the podcast, I had a really strong focus towards self-improvement, because I felt stuck. I felt like there was that sense of failure going on, and I felt stuck, and I felt like I had underestimated myself and been underestimated. And I was like, there was almost like a need to prove to myself that I could do more, be more than what I had previously done. And now it's really more for me about changing how I think about myself and what I'm capable of, so that it's like getting back to who I've always been, and letting that little girl who is a bad A and has been from the I've been salty since the time I was born, girls. And
I kind of figured that, Yvonne. I'm just gonna say,
but I spent so much time squashing the salty in myself and trying to fit and be the nice girl and do all the things that were supposed to be nice girl things. And I became very convincing for a long time.
Yeah, we lie to ourselves a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't need to do that. That's, I don't need that anymore. I don't need to. And we keep saying that. Like my husband will say that to me. He goes, do you really need that piece of candy? Yes, I do. And stop telling me what I need. I want it. So I'm eating it.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, from where I sit, I feel like you guys are leaders in self-care because of what you're doing and how you're pulling it into what you care about and how you're helping women. So Yvonne, you have so much play involved in all of what you do. And I'm just like, well, I can do the same thing because I actually do it with a toddler. You're doing it on your own. I'm like, well, if I just continue this now, even without my toddler, I'm going to be just like Yvonne when I grow up.
When I go skating, I am the only I'm the only person that looks like this at the skate park. Let me just say, I'm usually surrounded by a bunch of like teenage or 20-something guys. And then the kids, depending on the time of day, kids show up. And I had this little 9-year-old girl come up to me. I had seen her one day at the park, the day before, and she was on roller blades as opposed to roller skates. But this little girl was fearless. She was dropping into bowls. She was going up things, down things, flipping backwards. I mean, I was just watching her and just with my mouth open, watching what she was able to do. And I went into the skate park like the second day, and she was kind of checking me out, and she's like, "You're the only adult I've ever seen on skates." And I was like, yeah, and we ended up like hanging out for that day. And then, she watched me for a while, some of the stuff that I was trying to do. And she was like, how do you do that? And then, of course, she being like an 8-year-old or whatever she was, 9 years old, she would try it and like pick it up right instantly, and it was but she's like, watch this, and she was my buddy for the day.
That's cute.
It was great. Like, all right, score.
Oh man. And then Kat, you preach there no perfection policy and just a different way of working out. Because it's not you have to do this, and this, and this. It's where are you? Like you said before, you're going to meet us halfway, but it's just move. And that's self-care in itself. And you just are always talking about just move your body. Like take care of you. Even if that is a snack with candy that husband may not like. But
well, I kind of equate it to, if anyone has ever done this, you go into a gym, a class at the gym, and we kind of mosey to the back, right? And everyone's like talking and, because they've all been there before. It's your first time. No one's talking to you. And it's really isolating. Everyone's very serious. They all have their Lululemon and Athleta stuff, you know, they're all like coiffed hair, makeup and everything. And you're just sliding in across the hood of the car, you know, like with your stuff on. And it's really intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted a community where people could, hey, hi, let's have some fun. That fitness can be fun. That you can see me being goofy because I am goofy. That I make fun of myself when I make mistakes, you know. And I want people to see that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to feel a little intimidation, but then you realize, wow, this really is a good place to be.
I love that. It's kind of like we have this sense that we have to be perfect and that we're not human because we're women, but we are human and we're not perfect and we're going to be silly and goofy. And I have two people in the green room right now that I would like to bring up if they are ready, who are being super goofy in there because they're just not getting their
buckle up.
Set up right.
I know who that is.
What does Kim say? Get your 5-point harness on.
I'm going to briefly introduce them and interject them into our conversation real quick. So I'm going to pull them up. But I have two of our other friends, Miss Donna Bender and Miss Kim White. And I wish I could.
We're like,
push head. So, Donna and Kim, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy day where you two are hanging out to join us in this conversation. But Donna, you are a powerhouse here with Surprise and Delight Marketing with the Donna Bender Company, who just brings knowledge for marketing all over into our community, as well as just the information that you know and want to share with others. And the fact that you are a woman and doing things over and over and over and over again in your business is just trying to get your plan to match what you want. And Kim White, thank you so much for coming today. You are the founder and fierce leader of the My Sexy Business team and community. Thank you so much for giving us this space to have our Impact Over Noise celebration today of International Women's Day. And you have built an incredible platform, business, team, community for entrepreneurs and women who want to have a business that doesn't own them, but they own. So thank you so much for being an amazing leader in that. And that kind of brings me to my next question. So you guys will have to kind of wrap in like what International Women's Day means to you in this next piece. But we are all leaders in a different way. And we are all leading through hard things with self-care and breaking barriers and making an impact. So I'm gonna put you guys on the spot, Donna and Kim. You're gonna have to figure out who's gonna talk first and what mic you're gonna use and all that fun stuff. But I want to know what that's meaning for you in being a leader as a woman for women on International Women's Day.
Well, hi, ladies. Jill, thanks so much. Sorry we were late. We were grandma-izing.
I love it.
You know, it's interesting because several people have asked that question this week of women in leadership and what that means to them. And I am really of the mindset that it's not so much on what your titles are and all the accolades you might get in your business. I'm going to cry. To me, it's more about the effect and impact that you have on others. And the fact that this is impact over noise really resonates with me because I even added it to my logo as who will you inspire today, because I really believe as women in leadership, our responsibility is to help the next generation who are coming into the workforce, starting their own businesses. And I think having Yvonne around and reminding us all about playing and Kat taking care of our health We will be around a lot longer. And having grandchildren now is keeping us quite young. So, but I feel that I'm in a period in my life where I love what I do professionally, but I think being in this community and having Kim show us all how to have a little bit more balance and not have our businesses own us and to enjoy our lives has really been important. And I don't think it probably would have happened had it not been by pure luck that we all met. So that's what I have to add.
Thanks, Donna.
Sure.
So you all have already made me melt here. Let me say that. Jill, thank you for doing this. This is one thing I want to say. Thank you for doing this because I think you as a leader, it is very amazing to see leaders come together. And we don't want to exclude the boys. It's just International Women's Day, not International Women's and Men's Day.
Yep.
So listen to that. But just having the opportunity to be around all you ladies and know what impact you're all making on this world, it makes me feel very honored and privileged to be at the table. So thank you for today.
Yeah.
And can I add one thing?
Of course. Keep the conversation going, Donna.
Well, no, but I do want to say, I'm figuring out how much I'm working.
We're very awkward.
Jill, I have to say that, since I've met you and how I met you and the first experience I had with you, to see you now leading so much and becoming such a great leader in the community as well as your own business is really a wonderful thing to see. So I applaud you.
Thanks, Donna. Thank you. Yeah. It's very sweet. Well, I'm going to keep pressing you guys for more questions because this is not the Jill show. But thank you. And, one thing is we are all right now, well, we're not all home, but we are all like remote. We're from our own homes. We're from a mountaintop. I don't know. But that's one of the things that I absolutely love about what we get to do is that we've created a business out of a need that once we had, and now we know others have, and we're doing it from wherever we can, whether it be in our homes, in an office, on the road, and we're making an impact by doing it. But we're also leading in a different way than I think the world has expected women to lead from wherever we can. And I love that about this group, about what the world is, shifting to with that, and that we can do it from wherever. And I think each of our things that we're doing can be done from wherever also. So, our communities can live online. We can play for self-care anywhere. We can work out now in smaller spaces or in gyms. We can have conversations online or in person. It's, I think, absolutely fantastic. So I just get excited that I get to see all of you guys wherever you're at for the day when we get together and doing something like this, having a panel where we don't have to be dressed up in a formal setting in person to be able to make an impact. We can make an impact from anywhere in the world.
I'm dressed up on top today.
Same.
I have a hoodie on, y'all. I just want to make sure you know I have a hoodie on. I'm not dressed up at all. We've been crawling around on the floor.
Yeah, I'm wearing a sweat top
yeah.
and leggings,
I love that this is possible, that technology makes it possible, that that there's nobody to stop us from creating our own platforms. There's nothing to stop you, if you're watching, from doing things your way. The technology exists. There are people, there are groups you can join. And I love that I have found you guys as a community so that doing what I'm doing doesn't feel so lonely. I feel like I'm surrounded by people who get it and are on their own journey. And yeah, we can do this from anywhere. That actually is part of, I became a photographer to begin with when I was 40. That's when I first learned how to use a big camera. And I had small kids at that point. And one of my goals in becoming a photographer was to take charge of my work life so that I could do work that would allow me to be a mom and do the work that I wanted to do. So that I could have control over my own schedule. Now I'm moving into a new zone of life, which is I'm going into the empty nest soon. And now I'm looking at, the podcast I can do from anywhere. I can continue to do photography from anywhere. And now it's kind of like an adventure. I'm playing the long game of looking at, well, what are the next 20 something years going to look like for me? Because I do want to keep working as long as I'm doing work I love. And maybe I'll be on the road doing what I do and I'll figure that out, and it's amazing to have that it's amazing to have the tech to do it. It's amazing to have, to be able to learn from other people how to do it. Kim has been a great example to all of us of being a digital nomad for all of the years that she did it. You can see her, she was always coming to us from her traveling home, and it's like, okay, it can be done. It can be done.
Can I add something to that too, Jill?
Yeah.
So I will say this, even the digital nomad thing, sometimes we look at like younger people and we think they can do that, but we can't. And I think that that's something that you speak to a lot of on is the unlimited versus the limited. And I think that's all of us in this community. We like the age doesn't matter. We can figure out how to do something we love. We can figure out how to do it from wherever we want to be. We can do it with the most amazing humans. And this is proof because I think you all are the most amazing humans. And I think that's part of the magical feeling of it is we just had an amazing time here with our kids and our grandkids and not just that, but we get to do this with y'all. Like we're not limited to we have to choose one and can't do the other. And I think that's powerful. And I don't know if we would have figured that out if we weren't kind of forced into it in ways. But how powerful is that?
Yeah, here you are. You two are together. While Donna is on vacation, you're grandmaing and mimiing together, and you're on a panel discussion at the same time because you chose not to limit yourselves. There are a lot of people who would say, "Oh, well, that wouldn't work. I can't do that." But you can. You can. And women who have stepped out of the workplace for, the time that they decided to be a mom, perhaps, might come back and go, "Oh, well, I don't have any skills anymore. I don't, who's going to hire me? Who's going to do?" You know what? You can hire yourself. You can figure out doing something that, you have skills. You've been a mom. Take those and see how they translate and what you can do from there. There are no limits. The limits are here.
Yeah.
But, and here's the difference for me is that when my daughter was the age of my granddaughter, I started a company and I felt I wasn't able to really do what I'm doing now with my granddaughter because my mind was on my business. My mind was on, what I had to do next. And even though I might have been there physically, I wasn't there 100% mentally. And now I get, it riles me when I have to do something for work when I'm with my granddaughter.
Yeah.
And I do it but it's a different mindset, because it's that feeling inside that I don't want to repeat that again. I want to be able to enjoy it. And so it's an amazing thing when, I met Kim's son, who's the same age as my daughter, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like so bizarre. But I don't know if I would have been able to do that had I not been around all of you.
Can I just piggyback on something that Kim said? First of all, Kim, what you said was amazing. Thank you. And your check's in the mail. And Yvonne, when you were talking about limiting ourselves, that no one can stop us. Well, no one can stop us but us, ourselves. And I think that's what a lot of...
High five.
High five, you can't.
And I think that's what stops us the most. I call them gremlins. The gremlins that are in my head and on my shoulders saying, you can't do that. Why are you doing that? You're too old to do that. Why are you messing up? Why are you messing up the apple cart? You don't have to do this. And when you start to get past those gremlins and you realize your potential and just opening that door just that much, just because I think as we get a certain age, we feel like that door is closed, but it's not locked. Just open the door and see what's over there and go, oh, that. And then you start to pull that out and you're like, oh, what else is it? It's like, when you find clothes in your closet, you're like, oh, this is really nice. I didn't know this was in here.
It's new.
And so you find something new. And I think that's what we need to keep in mind is that, and you say this all the time, Yvonne, is be a beginner again. And I love that, taking that weight of, I have to prove myself to, I could be a kindergartner and learn this, and move up from there.
There is so much power in letting yourself be a beginner later in life. I think so many of us have gotten comfortable with what we know how to do, with where our experience and expertise is, and we want to live there because that's comfortable. And being a beginner is uncomfortable, but that is where the juice is. That is where you get the butterflies in your stomach. That is where you find out what you're made of now, not then, is like, oh, and it's like taking baby steps towards what you're curious about. Let yourself fail. Let yourself be a beginner who doesn't know how to do something. And the more you do those little things, the more you'll suddenly have a new mastery over something you didn't have before. And let me tell you, there's a YouTube tutorial for anything you ever want to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Everything.
But even I can't, since I've known you, I feel like every day you're learning something new. Seriously. It could be a dance routine. It was roller skating. It was yoga. I mean, I think that your energy has really given us the permission to keep trying things, because you're a perfect example of that. You're always trying something new.
Yeah, I thank you, Donna. And it's on purpose, by the way. It's like it's this sense of wanting to walk the walk, not just talk the talk, because I have this podcast called Late Bloomer Living. So, and I say a lot of the times, bloom like you mean it and always be blooming. And honestly, I think we are always blooming. I don't think that you even need to try, because there's seasons, there's seasons to it. And maybe if you're feeling stuck, maybe you're in a wintering season, laying the groundwork for what's next. I think the trick is not to beat ourselves up over that feeling of being stuck, but to take a look at it with interest and curiosity and think, I am not satisfied. Clearly, there's some rumblings going on in here. What are they? Isn't that interesting? What is that? And if we can get curious about it instead of beating ourselves up or resigned, then that's where the letting yourself being a beginner can be exciting. And that's why I do the silly new challenges, and why I'm, trying to learn how to shuffle dance at 56. And, it's exploration, it's experimentation. It's why not? Why
Well,
not?
I think the other thing too is, let's say you try something, and I call it failing forward. Maybe it's not your thing. And you know what? That's okay. That gives you that, oh, I tried that. Let me try this. Because you're going to stumble on something that you are so incredibly good at and you didn't even know you were good at it. But unless you take that step, you're never going to know. So fail forward. We've all done it. We're all doing it in certain things. And just be a beginner and fail forward. That's all I'm going to say.
What I like about it, though, is what you guys were all saying in the way that we can be impacted as women from each other, is that you all have something that someone is like, I want that, but I don't know how to be that, or how to do that, or how to start that. And Lavon, like you're saying, it's okay to be a beginner, but it's also okay to not have to do everything that we see Yvonne doing, or everything that we see Kat doing, or Donna.
Oh,
or
yes.
Kim.
Preach, girl. It is absolutely. I post the videos of me skating and dancing and, doing things, but never wanting anybody to feel like, oh, I need to do what she's doing. No, it's more about explore what is next for you. What do you want next? And don't compare yourself to anybody else.
And what are the pieces that you like about Yvonne or Kim or Kat or Donna? Like, I wanted to be a digital nomad. I can't. My lifestyle will not do it. But having a child, I am going to be a work from home mom and take off whenever I want to be with him. I would love to work out multiple times throughout the day, but I might just be at a point where I just take Kat's 11-minute challenge for a week, and that's going to be it for the month. I don't know yet. And then Donna's just inspiration on how she's gone and unlearned so much in order to learn how to begin again with a grandchild. So it's exciting to see these pieces that are like, oh, I want to do like that with Yvonne, and I want to be able to go play. And like, oh wait, I do play already. Cool. We got that part. Let's keep going. So it's very impactful seeing women who are leaders like yourselves showing living proof of what you're trying to help others do, the things, the barriers you're trying to break, the hard you're trying to make easy. It's very exciting to be a part of that in community with you guys. And we only have a few minutes left, so I want to hear some final thoughts from you guys before you all have to leave me, because this is very fun and more enjoyable than what I would be doing instead. So
I just want to say, first of all, I'm jumping right in here, Jill, to say, because when you were talking, it just hit me how each and every person that I'm looking at in front of me right now has inspired me in some way. When you were talking about Donna, I was thinking about, her moving to Texas, not knowing a single person, and creating a business where she could be a mom and have a business. And, there's a lot, I can't think of a lot of people that would have done what you did, Donna, to build the business that you built. And that is so inspiring to me. Kim, I mean, good grief. The what you've built and how you lead us as newer entrepreneurs, and how you've shown and you have lived and been living proof that our businesses don't have to run us, that we can choose to run our businesses in the way that serves us. Kat, oh my goodness. Like, what can I say? My salty sister. I think about you saying fail forward a lot, because that is something you and I have talked about a lot. And I just was telling somebody else recently that you have this phrase called, that you talk a lot about failing forward. It comes up in conversation. Each and every one of you, I have things that come up in conversation with other people. Here's an example. Sorry, I don't want to take up too much time. Kim, somebody recently, Jack Perez was honored as like the top 100 in age advocating, something like that. So pro aging. And she got this award, and I was like, put that in your evidence file. And she texted back to me, oh, I love that evidence file. And I said, well, I stole that from Kim White because she's always telling us to put things in our evidence file so that we can go back on those down days and remind ourselves of the successes and the compliments and the little progressions. And Jill, I just want to be you when I grow up. And I seriously do. I wish you had been in my life when I was a mom to young kids. And I would never have, when my kids were really little, it wasn't even a thought in my mind to become an entrepreneur or a business owner. I was like, no, you got to have a job, or I just had very limiting expectations on what was possible. And you prove otherwise every day.
Thanks.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. It's an honor to be on this panel with all of these women because they're all bad A's in their own right. And what I want to say to women watching, and even to all of us, is that you don't know who you are. Someone's watching you. It might be your kids. It might be a friend of your kids. It might be the girl down the street watching you. You don't know who you're inspiring. You don't know who you are, I won't say advocating for, but someone's watching you. And Yvonne and I had said this in Salty Sisters, the best compliment that I think you could ever get is from another woman. Right? So if someone is inspiring you, go up and say, wow, I see you doing whatever that is, blank. I just want to say, keep it up. You're looking great. You're putting in the effort. Just keep it going. And I think if we did that for all women, giving them a compliment because you mean it. You don't have to know them. You don't have to have a whole conversation. You go, God, I love your purple shoes are amazing. Y'all know how I love the color purple. But just something like that, and watch this woman's face light up like, oh my gosh, because they don't expect it. So just remember, someone's watching you take those baby steps and bloom like you mean it.
Amen.
Like,
Amen.
So on that note, Kat, the whole expression "pay it forward." I think that so much of us, and a lot of times we'll just be working and not thinking about it. But have you ever taken advantage of saying something to someone at the bank, someone at the cashier at the supermarket, and just smiling and saying thank you? And the expression on someone else's face, to me, that is just means so much. It makes my day so much better when I can see I put a smile on someone's face or I complimented someone. So I totally agree with that. And I just feel that, Jill, when we were all starting out and working, things were so much different, because I was laughing when you talked about what we were all wearing. And I'm thinking, if this was then, we'd all be in suits. We'd all be in suits.
Yeah.
And I'm just so glad that we're able to just be here on a Saturday and be able to talk to each other and hopefully make an impact on someone.
Thanks, Donna.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder, thank you, Kim, for the reminder.
Well, and we wanted to say really quickly that Kat dropped off because she is making an impact. Someone is being interviewed, and Kat is a bad A, and that is what she is going to go do. So let's just say that, Jillo, not to take away from that, but I want to make sure everybody knows that that's where she went.
Yes. Well, Kim, did you have any final thoughts too before we close this up?
So, I guess the final thing I want to say is, when I was little, I didn't have women in front of me that I could look up to as far as they weren't business owners, they weren't doing all those things, and I didn't know that was what was possible. And now I look and I think there is nothing that's not possible to us. Look around, there are examples of people who are doing things, and if they're not, you go blaze a trail. Go blaze a trail. Don't let that stop you. So I appreciate the opportunity just to be part of this, and thank you, Jillo.
Thank you, Jill.
Well, I'm grateful for each and every one of you in my life and on the stage here today. So thank you so much for joining me in this conversation. And again, to My Sexy Business for the place to do it for Impact Over Noise. And for you watching or listening that you are here, a part of the conversation. And please remember to connect with the guests today and continue this conversation beyond today. It has been an incredible discussion for International Women's Day. And thank you again for watching and being a part of making an impact.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Yvonne. I hope you're going to be learning something new today.
I don't know. Well, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? The pressure. I love you all. This was awesome.
You.
Thank you for hosting this, Jill. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay.